Good day, erudites. I'm Bansay Vanilla Alaya, your lecturer for Lesson 8 in Pre-Calculus, the Binomial Theorem. Before we start, let's head to our learning goal. First, students will be able to define the binomial theorem. Second, students will be able to solve binomials using Pascal triangle. First, what is binomial theorem or binomial expansion? This is the theorem that specifies the expansion of any power a plus b in the power of m of binomial a plus b such as certain sum of products a in the power of I and b in the power of j. We use binomial theorem to make our solving to any binomial more efficiently such as a plus b squared, and its formula will be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Therefore, if we see any binomial in a raised in the power of 2, we will use the formula a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. For today's video, we will be focusing only on Pascal triangle. Using this, we will get the faster and more organized to expand any expression that is binomial. So what is Pascal's triangle? Pascal triangle is an infinite triangular array of binomial coefficients where each number is the sum of the two numbers directly above in the previous row. So as we can see at the top, we have single number 1, and every row begins and ends with 1. And the number formed by adding two numbers directly above. Let's say 1 plus 1, we get 2. 1 plus 2, we get 3. 1 plus 3, we get 4. 3 plus 3, we get 6, and so on. Now, let's try to solve for the first problem for our Pascal triangle. So, we have x minus 2 in the power of 3. So, we notice that we have power of 3. So, in the Pascal triangle, we're using this row where the second number is 3. So this will be the useful coefficients we're going to use. How are we going to solve this binomial? So we have x minus 2 cubed. Our first coefficient is 1 times our first variable. We have x. So we have put x here. We're going to start at cube times this variable times this variable. So we have negative 2. We have 0 plus in here our second coefficient is 3. So we're going to put 3 times our first term. We have x. Now we're going to put 2 here. So this first term, or the first thing we're going to times, is its power will be descending. So it will be 3, 2, 1 till 0. Now the second term we're going to times is going to ascend. So we're going to have 0, 1, 2, and 3 times negative 2. We have 1 plus our next coefficient, which is 3. 3 times our first term. We have x. We have 1 times negative 2. It's going to ascend, so we have 2 plus our next coefficient, which is 1. So we're going to put 1 times x in the power of 0 times 2, negative 2, 3. So we see the pattern here. The first term that we're going to times is its power is descending. And the second term that we're going to times and its power is ascending. So let's try to solve. Negative 2 raised to 0 is 1. So we're not going to we're canceling that. So 1 times x is x, and x, the power of 3 will be x cubed plus this term. 3 times 2, or 3 times negative 2, will give us negative 6. And x, the power of 2 will give us x cubed. So we have x, negative 6x cubed. Now, for this term, we have negative 2 raised to 2. So, negative 2 will give us positive 4. And 3 times 4 will give us 12. So we have positive 12. And x raised to 1 is x. So we're going to copy x. Now, for the last term, we have x raised to 0. So we cancel that. We're left with 1 times negative 2 raised to 3. Negative 2 times negative 2 give us positive 4. Times negative 2 will give us negative 8. So this is the answer for our first problem. So to check this, let's try to solve this using expansion or using FOIL method. So we have x minus 2 and another x minus 2 and x minus 2. So first, let's use FOIL on the first two terms. So we will get x times x squared, x times negative 2, negative 2x, negative 2x, another negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 2 will give us positive 4. X minus 2. Now, we will multiply this trinomial to this binomial, but first, we have common terms. So, let's solve for our common terms. X squared, negative 2x minus 2x will give us negative 4x plus 4. Let's copy our x minus 2. Okay, so now we can times this trinomial to binomial. So we have x squared times x will give us x cubed. X squared times negative 2 will give us negative 2x squared. Now negative 4x times x will give us negative 4x cubed. Negative 4x times negative 2 will give us positive 8x. 4 times negative 2 will give us negative 8. Now let's solve for our common terms. X cubed, negative 2x minus 4x will give us 6x squared. 8 plus 4 will give us 12. So 12x. Let's copy our 8. Bring down 8. So we got the same answer. As we can see, we didn't expand the equation. We just used these coefficients as guide to get our equation for x minus 2 cubed.